It's time for On the Farm in Alabama, bringing farmers and agribusiness the latest news from Alabama Extension and the Auburn University College of Agriculture. Now here's your host, Alabama Extension Regional Agent, Eddie McGriff.
I'd like to welcome everybody today to On the Farm in Alabama, and today I'm with Chad Henderson of Henderson Farms. This is part of our bean counter series, and we're out in Chad's April the 5th planted soybeans. One thing I wanted to point out, the earlier you plant, the less likely you are to have lodging. You can look at how tall these beans are when we're at the R2. These are at R2 right now. Chad, tell us a little bit about your beans.
So this bean on my left is a Pioneer bean. It's a 47A64, and the bean on my right is an Agrigold bean. It's a 5288, and we don't grow many 5.2s, as many 5.2s. We've a lot of the indeterminate stuff. But we're trying this 5.2. Agrigold thinks it's going to be a good bean for them, so we're going to give it a shot. And so that's what these beans are here.
Well, Chad, one of the most important things, you just had a tissue sample, and your potash level came back 2.4%, which I know you'd like it higher, but that's actually very good. You want to keep it above 1.75, because when we get into pod fill, the soybean plant is going to be taking potash out of the leaf and putting it into the beans. So we need to keep it up as high as possible, as long as possible. Tell us what your potash strategy is.
I don't think we can get enough on. My strategy and Eddie's strategy is sometimes different, but you know, and two, this is a smaller plot. You know, we're dealing with a 25-acre deal on this particular field, 25-acre farm, and we're dealing with what we're dealing with for the third time. But we would like to maintain above a 3. Eddie likes the 2.5, 2.75. We want to maintain above 2, but the higher we can get it now, the less likely it is to fall so much when we start loading the pods up. You know, there's a couple rules of thinking on it. You know, if you can hold it up so long, well then maybe you don't have the pod set that you thought you had. So it's going to fall at some point. The potash level is going to fall, but that's just the load that you have in.
Well, you've already made an additional application of potash. Tell us what you've done and when you did it.
So we've sprayed these a couple of times with a foliar potash, some 0024 potassium acetate, and we sprayed it with that and some sugars and things of that nature with our Roundup application. And then also we've made one application with a dry box, and we put out 100 pounds of potash as well.
Another thing I like to mention, this is not on the early planted beans, but you're a little bit behind. We've had rainfall the last 4 or 5 days, so you need to be cutting wheat. But when you finish cutting wheat, you're going to be planting your late season beans right behind it. So we could talk about that a little bit, but the one thing I would like to mention, when you have late beans, it is a good practice to put out 30 pounds of nitrogen. The soybean plant will not start producing its own nitrogen to about 30 days after planting, and so what you need to do is you need to get some growth on these late planted beans. So if you have late beans or beans behind wheat, it's critical, or we've always seen, not critical, but we've always seen an economic yield increase from putting out 30 pounds of nitrogen at planting.
Yeah, me and you've tested a lot of stuff, you know, and the biggest thing we run out of on double crop beans is sunshine. We run out of day length and sunshine. So Eddie and I, the biggest thing that we've seen on return on the money has been the either 10 gallons of 28005 at planting, or 10 gallon through the pivot on the first swing, something to get you 30 pounds out there. And we've seen that, and it gets the bean up, and nothing gets it up where you can cut it. You know, sometimes these beans get real short coming into court in a dry land situation. They may be shorter, so it gets them up to where you've got enough bean to cut and lap the middles, and it really helps with the vegetative growth to start with.
Well, we want to thank Chad for being with us today on the Farm in Alabama in our bean cutter series. So we'll be talking in our next series with Stuart Sanderson about fungicide and scouting. Thank you.